read the next chapter in My Father's Dragon. This one is chapter 5. My father meets some tigers. The river was very wide and muddy, and the jungle grew very gloomy and dense. The trees grew close together, and what room there was between them was taken up by great high ferns with sticky leaves. My father hated to leave the beach, but he decided to walk along the riverbank where at least the jungle wasn't so thick. He ate 3 tangerines, making sure to keep all the peels with him this time, and he put on his rubber boots. My father tried to follow the river bank, but it was very swampy, and as he went further, the swamp water became deeper. It was almost as deep as his boot tops, so he got stuck in the oozy, mucky mud. My father tugged and nearly pulled his boots right off, but at last he managed to wade into a drier place. Here the jungle was so thick that he could hardly see where the river was. He unpacked his compass and figured out the direction that he should walk in order to stay near the river. But he didn't know that the river made a very sharp turn away from him just a little ways beyond. So as he walked straight ahead, he was actually getting further and further away from the river. It was very hard to walk in the jungle. The sticky leaves of the ferns caught in my father's hair, and he kept tripping over rocks and roots and rotten logs. Sometimes the trees were clumped together so closely that he couldn't squeeze between them, and he had to walk a long way around. He began to hear whispering noises, but he couldn't see any animals anywhere. The deeper into the jungle that he went, the sure he was that something was following him. And then he thought he heard whispering noises on both sides of him as well as behind. He tried to run, but he almost tripped over more roots, and the noises only became nearer. Once or twice he thought he heard something laughing at him. At last he came to a clearing, an open place, and he ran right into the middle of it so that he could see anything that might try and attack him. Was he surprised when he looked and saw 14 green eyes coming out of the jungle all around the clearing. And when those green eyes turned to 7 tigers, he was even more afraid. The tigers walked all around him in a big circle, looking hungrier all the time. And then they sat down and began to talk. "I suppose you thought we didn't know you were trespassing in our jungle," said one of them. Then the next tiger spoke and said, "I suppose you're going to say that you didn't know it was our jungle." Then the third tiger said, "Did you know that not one explorer has ever left this island alive?" And my father thought of the cat and knew that this was not quite true. But of course he had way too much sense to say so. One does not contradict a hungry tiger. Now the tigers went on talking in turn. "You're our first little boy, you know. I'm curious to know if you will be especially tender. Maybe you thought we have regular meal times, but we don't. We just eat whatever we want when we're feeling hungry," said the 5th tiger. "And we're feeling very hungry right now. In fact, I can hardly wait," said the 6th tiger. "I can't wait," said the 7th tiger. Then all of those tigers said together in a loud roar, "Let's begin right now!" And they moved in closer and closer. My father looked at those hungry tigers, and then he had an idea. He quickly opened his knapsack and thought about what he should take out. Remember all those things that he packed up? Well, he took out some chewing gum. The cat had told him that tigers are especially fond of chewing gum, which is very scarce on the island. So he threw them each a piece of gum, but they only growled, "Oh, as fond as we are of chewing gum, we'd like you even better." And so they moved in so close that he could feel them breathing on his face. "But," said my father, "this is very special chewing gum. If you keep on chewing it long enough, it will turn green, and then you can plant it and it will grow some more chewing gum. And the sooner you start chewing, the sooner you'll have more. Well, the tiger said, well, why didn't you say so? Isn't that fine? And as each one wanted to be the first to plant the chewing gum, they all unwrapped their pieces and began chewing as hard as they could. Every once in a while, one tiger would look into another one's mouth and say, nope, it's not done yet. And finally, they were all so busy looking into each other's mouths to make sure that no one was getting ahead that they forgot all about my father. Now the next chapter will be chapter 6, My Father Meets a Rhinoceros.